winning the last couple of Nations League and a Gold Cup, it's great. Realistically, we've completed CONCACAF now. It's going to the next level and making ourselves, established as an elite team. Towards the end, it wasn't successful, so we've got to embrace new ideas. We've got to have someone to come in and, crack the whip a bit.
My guest today is a Renaissance man, a magician, a musician, a new father of two, simultaneously Scouse and American in equal measure, the last remaining banner holder for the historic concept of Fulhamerica, and a gent who lives to fly up and down the flank on the left like a Targaryen dragon. It's a joy to welcome back US men's national team and Fulham's player of the season. It's Mr. Antonee Robinson.
Thanks, Rog, mate. Good to see you.
Mate, it is amazing to see you. We are speaking at a remarkable time of transition in Fulham, in which that almost biblical lineage of Americans, Fulhamerica. You're now the only US international at Craven Cottage after Tim Ream, our nation's footballing grandpa, left for Charlotte. Can you put into words what Tim Ream's meant for you in your career?
Well, he was one of the big reasons that I came to Fulham in the first place, to be fair. I've obviously said that before. He was the first person I called after I'd been called by the last manager, Scott Parker. And he just kind of reaffirmed that it was a good decision to come. And since then, obviously through training and then that championship season onwards where he played a lot more, we've been pretty much playing next to each other, club and country, for 3 years straight. So kind of feels like I've lost my right side. He's one of the players that I've had a better connection with in my career in terms of playing wise. I feel like we just both knew each other on and off the ball so well. Made up for him. Obviously, at this stage of his career, it was what he wanted, and he's going to go and thrive out there, and he's going to try and play till he's 40, which, I wish him all the best. That's something I don't want to do. But it's a big personality of Fulham that we've lost.
Question from a GFOP, Aaron Mitchell. With Tim Ream returning to the United States, what's your favourite memory of playing together with Tim at Fulham? Do you have one?
I mean, it's not one memory, it's not one game, but my favourite thing about Tim was whenever he was under pressure and opened out on his left foot, and he'd have a winger or a striker steaming at him, and he'd just Cruyff turn chop them and just dribble in like nothing happened. That first Premier League season when we got promoted, again, he was one of the best centre-backs in the league for me. And he just maintained that level for 2 seasons in the Prem. That champ season, he was obviously very good. Yeah, just seeing that sort of composure out of someone, it made me so comfy that knowing he was going to get me the ball at some point.
As you're saying that, Anthony, just to hear the sound of the Fulham faithful filling Craven Cottage with just Ream, which, my lord, a noise we will never take for granted. If you could pick any US international to make the move next to Fulham, become part of that Fulhamerica tradition, who would it be and why?
That's a good probably it'd be Chris Richards. That'd be my boy. He's one of my best mates in the team, and he's only local, so he wouldn't even have to move out. So he could just switch team and be easy for him. If not, I'd probably go Christian, so I'd have another golfing buddy. So one of the Chris's would do.
God, I love the way you did Chris Richards, because it would be convenient for Chris. He wouldn't have to worry about moving. Also, from a footballing perspective, the next Tim Ream to come. But one player who's arrived at Fulham, Emile Rowe, came in from Arsenal at the beginning of this month, announced himself with a quite crafty nutmeg in Friday's game. And there's so much expected from this gent known as Croydon De Bruyne. Can you talk about what Emile brings that you've seen in training that Fulham really crave?
He's just a really positive player. He's really tidy on the ball, really confident to come and get on it, whether he's in a tight space or an open space. And he just loves to, get on the half turn and go forward and attack towards goal. So I feel like in terms of getting a creative player in that sort of 8-10 spot in midfield, it's going to really help us. He's going to contribute a lot towards goals and assists this year, I feel like. And he's only really just getting started. He hasn't had the pre-season he wanted this year, so he's not fully fit. So I think when he's fully firing, everyone's going to see what a quality player we've just signed.
I read an interview with you recently where you described yourself, and I love this because I relate. You said, I'm a, quote, natural pessimist. You're an elite athlete. You have to imagine positive things. Can you talk about the mental techniques that you've employed to turn that natural pessimism around, to give you the positivity you need when you take the field?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I mean, like you said, anyone playing at this level, we're elite athletes, and I have confidence in myself. I know what I can deliver, but I'm very aware of what I'm not good at. So in terms of that sort of pessimism, like you said, I always go out on the pitch thinking I just want to make sure I do all the basics right. Anyone who's coming against me, I try and limit them or stop them and try and be as effective as I can. And like you said, it's just bringing out my strengths. I'm confident in all that. The sort of negativity is when you start doubting yourself and you don't want to play a pass because you're scared you'll miss it. But between myself, just reassuring myself that if you just do the simple things, I'm going to be fine because I've got to this level, I've done well. But also, even the manager reaffirming that to me as well. He always reminds me, you're a better player when you just do things simple and you do what you're good at. So, reminding myself that and him helps.
Do you visualise, Antonee?
I don't particularly visualise, no, but there's definitely games where I've gone into the game and I've just said to myself, look, here's what I'm going to need to do today. Like, depending on your opposition, if we go into a game and I know I've got, an unbelievable winger playing against me, I'll say, look, you've got to try and stop him the best you can. You might not be able to attack all game. Try not to give the ball away. I'll just kind of set myself like little objectives in my head, easy objectives. I won't go saying to myself, you need to get a goal and assist today, because plenty of games that doesn't happen. So it's setting the easiest objectives that I know are achievable. If I set myself 10 goals in a game and I do 7, 8, 9 of them, then I've had a decent game.
You talk about opponents that you're about to play. This weekend, you're facing Jamie Vardy, 37 years of age now. But as we saw against Tottenham, still a blur of speed and Red Bull and vinegar, able to get under his opponent's skin. How do you prepare to face a gent like him who kind of lives to wind you up and then do you in?
I mean, we've seen time and time again people getting wound up and reacting to it. It doesn't particularly help. I try and keep my focus on the game a lot, and people trying to wind me up, it doesn't really get in my head. It's more the thing that winds me up will be like referees and linesmen making mistakes, which it can happen. It's a tough job, but when something seems so obvious and it doesn't go my way, then that gets me a bit angry. Or if someone kicks me, then I'll react and say, all right, you want to kick me? Let's see what happens then. But yeah, obviously coming up against someone like Vardy, he's an absolute legend, someone who I've been watching for years, someone who's had an unbelievable career, still got a lot to offer in the Premier League. It might just be a case of trying to hide that Red Bull at half time and tire him out a bit.
God, the world needs more Jamie Vardy. I want to go back to the summer for a moment and the frustration of the Copa America from a US perspective. You lived it, Antonee. What was the biggest thing that went wrong and the lesson that you take from it?
The biggest thing that went wrong, the easy thing to say would be Tim getting a red card in that Panama game. That'd be the easy thing, because it's something we've spoken about a lot sort of as a team, that you have to keep your head, not get emotional in games like this. We know opposition like that are going to try and wind us up and try and take advantage of that. But it's a tough one. It can happen to anyone. It was just like a knee-jerk reaction, and it's unfortunate. But if we look back, could we have seen that game out, maybe got a point? Yeah, we shouldn't have lost the game. And then we go into the Uruguay game, and I mean, the referee and antics aside, I won't blame the loss on that, but it was mental. If the first real tough opponent you go up against, you can't win, it's going to be very hard to win a tournament like Copa America. It's about as close to a World Cup as we're going to play on that day. That was like our Copa final, basically, and we lost it and we were out. So just a combination of errors, can't blame it on just one moment, but definitely it was disappointing, and it's something that we've got to look back on. And now we're going forward with changes. We've got to make sure that we learn from it and it doesn't happen again.
You talked Friday post-game to Rebecca Lowe about what you're looking forward to about Mauricio Pochettino, and you said you're looking forward to how he gets used to the boys and how we get used to him. And it's often talked about how the American player has a different mentality to the European ones, and that foreign United States managers have to understand that difference. You've lived it. How would you describe it?
Yeah, I've seen Tim Howard saying that about understanding the American player and whatnot. It's difficult if someone tries to come in and be controlling about everything. They only have a certain period of time that they can do it. So it's just trying to balance that aspect of, it's not club football anymore. So it's going to be something that he's going to have to get used to. But clearly we've come off the back of an unsuccessful tournament. We did okay in the World Cup, but we didn't get as far as we wanted to. So winning the last couple of Nations League and a Gold Cup, it's great. Realistically, we've completed CONCACAF now. It's going to the next level and making ourselves, established as an elite team. Like you said, towards the end, it wasn't successful. So we've got to, embrace new ideas. We've got to have someone to come in and, crack the whip a bit and make sure that he's getting the best out of us and that it's a, real competitive environment, because, boys look forward to going back to the US. They want to be home. They want to see family and things like that. So it's just trying to make sure you keep that balance of, we want it to still be enjoyable. You want the boys to want to look forward to going into camp, but you also want it to be for that reason and the right reasons of, I want to go in and, I want to win games. I want to showcase that we're an elite team. So yeah, trying to marry that balance, I guess.
I love that idea of completing CONCACAF. It's like Liverpool's version of we've conquered all of Europe. One question we had for more fans more than any other. Antonee is a Jedi. This comes from Richard in New Jersey. You've been blessed with a supernatural ability, obviously the Force. Can I get you to order these 3 fellow Jedis in terms of how you admire and rank them? The 3 would be Yoda, Anakin, Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yoda, Anakin, Obi. Take it away.
I would rank the 3 of them. Going to go Anakin first, just because I see a quiet little rage inside him that I have in myself. That mainly comes out, when I'm losing or things aren't going my way. So, just from a relation standpoint, I'll go for that. Yoda second, just because he's the oldest, the wisest. He's kind of the goat of the Jedi, so he can be second.
He's like Tim Ream age.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think they went to the same school. And then Obi-Wan, I'll put him last of it's a good top 3, but he has to go last in that one.
Team Yoda, do or do not. There is no try. Antonee, to you, your growing family, and your team.
Appreciate you, Rog. Thank you, mate.
Courage.